help us to better understand France's perspective on Bangladesh. Now, Center for Governance Studies is a think tank committed to advancing democracy, human rights, rule of law, media freedom, and good governance. Now, in this effort, Friedrich Ebert Stiftung FES Bangladesh, our long-lasting and valuable partner, we appreciate your effort and thank you for making this program possible. One of the core objectives of this program is that we want to bring members of the diplomatic society, whether it be ambassadors, to come to the real Bangladeshi and meet real Bangladeshi people from the civil society. We often see our ambassadors or our diplomats meeting government officials, policymakers. We rarely see them interacting with students, which is why this time, our second edition of Meet the Ambassador, we decided to host all of our programs at different universities. We hosted our first program at University of Jahangirnagar, and this time we have chosen University of Rajshahi, an esteemed education institute, to host this program. Such engagement creates opportunities for open dialogue, better understanding of diverse perspective, help us to form people-to-people connection between Bangladesh and its international partners. I really hope you will enjoy the program. Before we start, I would like to call on stage Dr. Felix Gerdes to give his opening remarks. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tasfir. Good morning, Excellency, Monsieur Cyril Chalet, Ambassador of the Republic of France, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Rajshahi, Abdul Alim, and University Administration, dear faculty, students, and esteemed friends from media and civil society. I welcome you all to this second edition of our Meet the Ambassador series, or the Meet the Ambassador series this year, when we relaunched this very successful program. My name is Felix Gerdes, as was already introduced. I'm the resident representative of Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. Allow me to shortly introduce our organization here. We are known as FES in Bangladesh and elsewhere. The name is a bit difficult to pronounce for almost anybody who is not of German extraction. We were founded in 1925 and named after the first democratically elected president of Germany. And we had a mission to advance labor rights and workers' education. We are one of the political foundations in Germany. That is, we are independent civil society organizations that are acting as think tanks affiliated with certain political persuasions, and for us that is the social democratic one. We, the political foundations, are nowadays part of a state-funded system to promote democracy in Germany, a system that was established after World War II. So we are charged with promoting knowledge for democracy through research, training, and public debate events such as this. Of course, other ways of dissemination come in. We are the most internationally oriented of the political foundations and present in about 100 countries right now. Developing countries as well as industrialized one. So we are looking at cooperation in a wider sense and not only one of development cooperation. We seek to strengthen international cooperation by working with national institutions, funding research and training and public events on labor. Particularly here in Bangladesh, we are working on labor, on economic policy for a fair economy and international cooperation. As you know, we are today in cooperation with our long-standing partner, the Center of Governance Studies, holding this Meet the Ambassador program. We thereby seek to promote international cooperation by strengthening the understanding of foreign country positions and by giving Bangladeshi society an opportunity to interact with and engage foreign diplomats, thus transmitting Bangladeshi positions also to the foreign part of international cooperation. We had a great opportunity yesterday to see Rajshahi and Rajshahi division, the wonderful cultural heritage that you are having here. We have been very impressed by what we saw, and I'm very glad that we made it to this important institution here, as you know, one of the largest universities in the country. And personally, having a background in academia, it is always a pleasure for me to engage with the academic community. I thank you for your interest in today's event. I thank the University of Rajshahi for hosting us and agreeing to this program. And I'm looking forward to a stimulating discussion. With these few words, I would like to hand over again to Ms. Tasfia Rahman to continue our program. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felix Gades, for gracing us with your kind words. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Abdul Alim, Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Rajshahi, to come to the podium to give his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to the University of Rajshahi for this special event, Meet the Ambassador 2026. On behalf of the university administration, our respected faculty members, dear students, I extend my warmest greetings to His Excellency Mr. John Mark Serre Charlotte. Your Excellency, we are truly honored to your presence on our campus. Your visit provides our students with a valuable opportunity to hear directly from an experienced diplomat and to develop a deeper understanding of diplomacy, international cooperation, and the evolving relationship between Bangladesh and France. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to the Center for Government Studies and Frederick's Edwards Steps Bangladesh for bringing this important program to the University of Rajshahi. Initiatives such as Meet the Ambassador help bridge the gap between academic learning and the practical world of international affairs. Universities are not merely institutions where students attend classes, sit for examinations, and receive certificates. A university should be a place where young people learn to question, analyze, discuss, disagree respectfully, and understand the world beyond their immediate surroundings. Today's program reflects the broader purpose of university education. My dear student, you are pursuing your education at a time when the world is undergoing significant changes. International relations are becoming increasingly complex. Climate change, technological transformation, economic uncertainty, conflicts, migration, disinformation, and threats to peace are affecting countries across the globe. At the same time, the world is more interconnected than ever before. A decision taken in one country can influence the economy, security, environment, and daily lives of people thousands of kilometers away. Therefore, understanding international affairs is no longer relevant only on diplomats, political scientists, or government officials. It is important for students of every academic discipline. Whether you study science, engineering, economics, business, literature, law, social sciences, agriculture, or the arts, global developments will influence your future. You must therefore develop the ability to understand events from different perspectives. This is why today's interaction is so important. Diplomacy is often understood as formal meetings between government representatives. However, diplomacy is much broader than that. It is the art of maintaining communication, resolving differences perfectly, building trust, and identifying areas of common interest. Modern diplomacy also involves education, culture, trade, technology, climate action, research, development cooperation, and people-to-people relationships. Universities and students have an increasingly important role in all these areas. Bangladesh and France share a long-standing friendship based on mutual respect and cooperation. France was among the countries that recognized Bangladesh soon after our independence. Since then, relations between our two countries have expanded into many areas, including trade and investment, culture, development, climate action, aviation, defense, technology, and education. France is internationally recognized for its contributions to art, literature, philosophy, science, democratic thought, and human rights. It is also an important member of the European Union and influential actor in global diplomacy. Bangladesh, on the other hand, is emerging as an increasingly important country in South Asia and the wider Indo-Pacific region. Our economic progress, young population, strategic location, participation in United Nations, peacekeeping, and experience in climate resilience have strengthened our international importance. There is considerable potential for Bangladesh and France to deepen their cooperation, particularly in higher education, scientific research, cultural exchange, renewable energy, climate adaptation, technological innovation, and sustainable development. Our universities can make a significant contribution to this partnership. We should explore opportunities for joint research, faculty collaboration, student exchange, scholarships, language learning, and partnerships between academic institutions in Bangladesh and France. I hope today's discussion will help our students learn more about these possibilities. My dear students, the presence of an ambassador at your university is not simply a ceremonial occasion. It is an opportunity for you to engage with someone who has observed international politics and diplomacy from very close quarters. I would also like to remind our students that you are not only students of the University of Rajshahi, you are representatives of Bangladesh's future. Some of you may become teachers, researchers, civil servants, entrepreneurs, journalists, policymakers, diplomats, or leaders in your communities. Whatever profession you choose, the habits you develop today will shape the contribution you make tomorrow. Be curious about the world, read beyond your textbooks, learn languages, understand different cultures, develop digital and analytical skills. Most importantly, remain honest and committed to serving society. As Bangladesh continues its journey towards greater prosperity and international engagement, the country will require a new generation capable of representing it with confidence and integrity. I hope many of you will consider your careers in diplomacy, international organizations, development institutions, research, and public services. Your Excellency, we deeply appreciate your willingness to travel to Rajshahi and engage directly with our students. Such interactions can inspire young people in ways that textbooks alone cannot. We hope your visit will contribute to stronger academic and people-to-people connections between Bangladesh and France. With these words, I warmly welcome His Excellency Mr. John Mark Sere Charlotte and all our distinguished guests to the University of Rajshahi. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abul Alim, for your encouraging words towards the student. Now, the moment that we have all been waiting for. For that, I would like to call on stage Mr. Jalur Rahman and His Excellency Jean-Marc Charlet to come take their seat kindly. Thank you very much. Now I will let Mr. Jalur Rahman to take the lead and take you to the ambassador's speech, followed by the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tashfia. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, my colleagues at CGS and AFS, especially the resident representative of AFS Bangladesh, Dr. Felix Gerets, respected teachers, distinguished guests, dear students, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's a real pleasure to be here at Rajshahi University. This is my first visit to this university. So today is a special for me. I have known Rajshahi by its reputation. It's a city of history, education, culture, silk, mangoes, and many things. And Rajshahi University has long been one of the great centers of knowledge in Bangladesh. But university is more than its building. As Pro-Vice Chancellor mentioned, it is a place where young people ask difficult questions. It is a place where ideas meet. It is also a place where we learn to listen to views different from our own. That is why this is the right place for today's event. Our program is called Meet the Ambassador, as Tashfia mentioned earlier. Diplomacy can sometimes look distant. It happens behind closed doors. It uses careful words, and it often appears in the news only during a crisis. But diplomacy is also about people. It is about students, teachers, artists, businesses, travelers, and new ideas. It is about how two countries understand each other. Today, we want to bring diplomacy closer to the University of Rajshahi. We want to hear from our distinguished guest. We also want him to hear from Rajshahi University. France and Bangladesh have enjoyed warm relations for many years. As Pro-Vice Chancellor mentioned earlier, France was among the early countries to recognize independent Bangladesh. Since then, the relationship has grown in many ways, many areas. These include trade, culture, education, climate action, development, technology, and international cooperation. But our world is changing very quickly. Climate change is becoming more severe, global power is shifting, wars and tensions are affecting economies and societies. New technology is changing how we live and work. Young people are asking what kind of future is waiting for them. So this is a timely conversation. Before we begin, I would like to thank Rajshahi University and everyone who helped organize this program. I also thank all the teachers and students who have joined us. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest. His Excellency Jean-Marc Cheré-Chalais is the Ambassador of France to Bangladesh. He presented his credentials in November 2025 and became the 18th French Ambassador to Bangladesh. He is a graduate from France's École Nationale d'Administration, widely known as ENA. He brings nearly 25 years of experience in diplomacy and cultural affairs. Before coming to Bangladesh, he served as the Consul General of France in Mumbai from 2021 to 2025. Earlier, he was Deputy Director in the United Nations and Human Rights Department of the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs. In that role, he worked closely on issues before the UN Security Council and the UN Human Rights Council. His diplomatic career has taken him to Moscow, Brussels, Rome, New Delhi, and Mumbai. He has also served as diplomatic advisor to the French Minister of Culture and Communication. This is an interesting combination. He has worked on security and human rights, Europe and the United Nations, as well as culture and communication. He is also no stranger to South Asia. Before his posting in Mumbai, he served as Deputy Head of Mission at the French Embassy in New Delhi. His Excellency has expressed a strong interest in Bangladesh's history, culture, and diversity. We are very happy that his journey in Bangladesh has brought him to Rajshahi University today. Excellency, thank you for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming His Excellency Jean-Marc Cheré-Chalais, Ambassador of France to Bangladesh. Thank you. Excellency, may I now invite you to the podium for your address. Please, over there.
Working. Bonjour. Shubo Shokal. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you in Rajshahi. It's my first time in Rajshahi. I arrived some months ago in Bangladesh, and I'm really willing to discover something else than Gulshan and Dhaka. So I try to travel around, and yesterday I had a full day discovering the region of Rajshahi. It was very, very interesting. Thank you very much. So I would like to thank the university. I would like to thank Mr. Rahman for the welcome. I would like to thank you also to be here, because I must admit I'm very happy to be here also for one reason, because I see you. And what do I see here? I see about half men, half women, which is something very important. It's very important because maybe you know, maybe you don't know, you will know now that France has declared in 2019, which is exactly 7 years ago, a feminist foreign policy. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that we have changed our goals of policy, but we have to put forward the very important objective of giving a space for women in diplomacy. And we have decided, I mean, the minister has decided, but we share this perspective and objective, which is to have a diplomacy which takes more account of women. One, in our own diplomatic service, where we have more and more women serving as ambassadors. When I arrived 25 years ago at the French Civil Service, there was, in my batch of diplomats coming from the National School for Administration, there were 9 joining the Foreign Service. There was 8 men, 1 woman. It was a choice. More women could have joined, but to be a women diplomat, it's not easy. When you have a family, you have to go abroad. And so now it's about 50-50. So that's an objective which is very important. It's also important in our working manner, and we promote this sort of objective, I mean, to make sure that women are respected and taken into account. So I'm very happy to see you today. I was asked to speak, to meet with you, meet the ambassador, I meet you, and I would be very happy to have your questions, because I see this moment as a moment of exchange. They asked me to make an introduction, so I will do it with great pleasure. But I would like we have a real exchange, discussion, open discussion with you. It would be very interesting to know what you have in your mind, what are your questions about diplomacy, about the world as it goes now. We are in a very specific time. Regularly, we have moments where things are changing, I mean, drastically changing. We experienced one, maybe the last one was in 1991, when the Soviet Union disappeared, and there was a new phase in international relations. But there was also, between then and now, another moment maybe we didn't notice, which was 2003, when Americans decided to invade Iraq without the authorization of the United Nations. At that time, France, Germany, other countries said no. America, Mr. Bush decided to go anyway. I think it was also a shifting moment in our diplomatic world, where a hyperpower tries to get rid of rules. I will come back to that. But first, I could have made an introduction about France and Bangladesh. That's what this gentleman wanted me to do, but I won't do it. Don't worry, we will discuss bilateral relations. You will ask questions about that. I think it's a possibility. It could be interesting for you. You have a French perspective. We live 8,000 kilometers from you. We live in a totally different world. Totally, not totally, but a largely different world. Mindset, problems, challenges. But we have many together. And what we have to face together is how the world is evolving. And you see now with globalization that more and more challenges are common. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, certainly I would have started my speech with such an introduction. But now we have to take into account that we are facing global challenges. Give me an example of a global challenge you see in today's world, please. Global climate change, of course, that's key. Key to you, key to us. You've got flooding, we've got fires everywhere in the south of France now. Kilometers square of woods are burning. How we settle that? Alone, or with Europeans, or all together? France is adamant on taking global challenges together. We call that, I will come back to this, multilateralism. That's very important. What else? Another challenge we have in common, please. Clean and green energy. There is no plan B. There is no planet B. We've got only one planet. How we do to save our resources and to keep them for the future generations. Another big challenge is war. War. It's something which we thought, I mentioned 1991 as a shifting point, and 2003 as another shifting point. In 1991, we thought naively, we must confess, that war was going to be ruled out. That the disparition of one big bloc, very aggressive, Soviet bloc, ideologically aggressive, would mean the end of wars. You know, it's not the case. We still see war, and more and more. Can you imagine how it was 30 years ago? You could travel in many, many countries where you can't travel now anymore. When you see a map and you put a black spot where there is a conflict, it's more and more, it's a larger, big spot on the map. You can go to the East Africa. It's very difficult to go to Ethiopia, to go to Sudan, all these countries. I visited Sudan 8 years ago. It was quite possible to go there easily. Now it's absolutely impossible. But there is not only Sudan. There are many, many other countries where it's difficult to go. Try to go to, you can go, try to go to Venezuela. Try to go to Iran. Try to go to Palestine. Try to go, many, many places now are in war. Internal conflicts, and now more and more conflicts between two countries, which was almost nowhere before. So we are in a world with global challenges, common challenges, so we have to know each other better, work better together, organize the work together. Between France and Bangladesh, there is a long history. When you go to Dhaka, in old Dhaka, you see traces of French presence of the 18th century, which is something, 300 years ago. Maybe you know Mr. Malraux. Malraux is a great French writer who in 1970-71 decided to engage for Bangladesh, which was at that time Pakistan, East Pakistan. He said there is a right to all people, right to self-determination. So we have to engage and fight for a free Bangladesh, because he had principles. And he came after the war, because it finished quicker than what he thought, and he came and he was a great friend of Bangladesh. Mr. Mitterrand, the French president, came to Bangladesh when he had the opportunity to come, and he thought it was important to visit this country, and so on. So we share many things. That would be by introduction. France and Bangladesh share a lot. We share the fact that we are both peaceful countries. You don't attack your neighbor, we don't attack our neighbors. Many of our neighbors attack each other. In France, I mean in Europe, there is a new fact. 2014, 2022, a big power, permanent member of the Security Council, has decided to breach the basic rule the basic rules of the UN Charter, which is chapter 2 of the UN Charter. You can't aggress another country. Russia decided to aggress another country in a very brutal, terrible war, without declaring war, but it's a war, even if they call that a special operation. Everybody knows it's a war, and they are killing every month hundreds of innocent people without any reason, just power. So we are a peaceful country. We see the world as a peaceful place. We are also strong supporters of multilateralism. France, no need to explain, we are a founding member of the United Nations, we are a permanent member of the Security Council, we are a founding member of the European Union, which is by essence a multilateral forum. We believe in the UN, you believe in the UN, you are very active in peacekeeping. My former boss in France, I was his deputy, he's now the head of, he's been for the last 10 years, the head of all the blue helmets. There are many Bangladeshi blue helmets. So you believe in multilateralism. Bangladesh and France relations are largely shaped by our regional and international environment. We have, as I said, different locations, different histories, also different strategies. We try to emphasize regional integration. After the Second World War, we thought it was a good idea to stop fighting each other, and our neighbor will remain our neighbors, and they have to accept that France will remain their neighbors. So the best thing we could do is to work together rather than fight together. Regional integration is less developed in South Asia. Maybe one day it will come, but that's a possibility on which subject on which we can exchange how it works. It's not easy. You know, to work with German colleagues is not easy every day. To work with British colleagues, with Italian colleagues, Spanish, we are different, very different. But still, we work together and we manage to improve our position through multilateralism and cooperation. But France is a regional power, but France is also a global power. We are, as you, we are neighbors because 1.8 million French citizens live in the Indo-Pacific region, in the island of Réunion, in New Caledonia, in French Polynesia, and we share with you, especially security concerns about the fact that Indo-Pacific zone has to be a free passage, a peaceful, a cooperative zone. So I will organize my presentation in two main ideas. First, I would like to describe the world with the threats it faces and the changes that lie ahead. And also the second will be to explore ideas for collaboration through bilateral partnerships, especially between France and Bangladesh. So first, to give you a perspective, French perspective about how we see the world and what we want to achieve through diplomacy and through sending ambassadors to Bangladesh and to the world, and how we act at the global stage. First, for us, and it's very important to reassert it, the world has to be governed by international law. International law is a key. The law of the strongest is rarely respectful of states, especially the weaker ones. Law provides a limit and a framework within which each state can evolve and defend its interests. International law is a result of a slow process of development born from the weariness of peoples exhausted by endless wars. The inviolability of borders, the rights of peoples to self-determination, and the non-use of force, these are for us sacred principles which remain perfectly valid for governing relations between peoples. The second pillar would be multilateralism and cooperation. And this is for us the best approach for fostering cooperation. We believe in cooperation and not in confrontation. We have to defend our own interests. Every state has to defend its own interest. But it can be done through cooperation, and it's much more effective on the long term. The experience of the League of the Nations. Do you know the League of the Nations? Who knows the League of the Nations in this room? Please, show your hand. The League of the Nations was the first try after the First World War to organize international community. It was the predecessor of the United Nations. It was a failure at the end because we had the war. His objective was to prevent war. 20 years after the foundation of the League of Nations, we go to war. So there were some flaws, but it was a brilliant idea. It was the first universal system addressing three pillars essential for international peace and security: security, economy, and development. After the Second World War, we had the United Nations, which tried to reform the League of Nations process. And we thought we forgot something which was forgotten in the League of Nations, which was human rights, defending human rights everywhere in the world. There are some countries, also governments, which pretend that human rights is a Western concept. We do not believe in that at all, and many countries, thanks to God, do not believe in that. Human rights are attached to human beings, not to a nation, not to a culture, but to everybody in the world. You've got, all of you, whatever your age, your sex, the color of your skin, your religion, you have rights that we have to promote and defend. That's something which was very new and which helped certainly to improve relations between, to protect population. European Union is a good example of multilateralism. The fact that we put, after the Second World War, new bodies to help governing relation between member states. UN is a key one, is a global one, but you can have also at a regional level multilateral bodies which help to develop cooperation between nations. Just to give you an example, just after the end of the Soviet Union, many countries from Central Europe became independent at last. They decided to join, they wanted to join the European Union because they felt they were part of the European family, but also because they were attracted by the prosperity and the richness of European Union, and they thought they would benefit from it. And the European Union said, okay, it's a good idea. We would be very happy to welcome you because it's part of our DNA to welcome European countries and work together to unite the continent. But we won't accept you unless you take into consideration human rights. So they were a bit surprised. In fact, all these countries, because it's part of a long, long history of Europe, there are minorities. Hungarian minority in Romania, Romanian minorities in Hungary, etc. Polish, Ukraine, etc. Everybody, or I mean all the countries had some issues about minorities, about human rights. And we said, you join, but one condition, you settle this before. And once you are in the European Union, we don't want to hear of these problems, not because they do not exist, but because you have found a solution to settle this problem in a peaceful manner through multilateralism, and then you will join the EU. And it was incredibly effective. Now, it's almost finished. There is no tensions about that. And we see between Hungary and Ukraine strong discussions because there is a Hungarian minority in Ukraine, and Hungary is addressing this issue by blocking the possibility for Ukraine to join. That will be on the menu of discussions of Ukraine joining maybe one day Europe. So just what I wanted to insist on is the fact that multilateralism may take many faces, many ways, but it's very powerful. That's what we believe in. Second point I would like to mention, it is the new threats and the emerging trends in international relations. Over the past few years, we have witnessed a growing level of aggression in the world. We have to be aware of that. We are not living in the 90s world or in the early 2000s year. It's very different. The first sign was, of course, the attack of a sovereign state by Vladimir Putin in 2014, and they seized territory. It was a very 19th century mindset, that post-colonial war, we take territories, we force a population to follow another rule, we impose a language. That's really old way of thinking. It's, sorry to say, but the 21st century also mindset of some of them. It was also a desire to punish Ukrainians for rebelling against the Russian order. Anyway, in 2022, again, Russia tried to carry on its invasion, not only of part of Ukraine, but the whole Ukraine. So Europe, France, we decided, and many other countries in the world decided to stand against this. We also observe a more systemic questioning of the multilateral system, with a turn towards unilateralism and even violence. So our today's world, what we see from our French perspective, it's a more brutal one, and it is also a world where the multilateral system is less effective. It doesn't mean we need to get rid of it, like many, in a simplistic manner, promote. On the contrary, we think we have to put more emphasis to be more serious on that. I won't dwell on Mr. Trump's position about multilateralism. No need to tell you, you follow about every day what he says or what he writes on his social truth, as he said, network. But that's a danger if you indulge in undermining the multilateral system. Mr. Putin is doing the same. Mr. Netanyahu is doing the same. We had, maybe you saw that yesterday or the day before yesterday, an exchange in New York. French ambassador, we had to renew, I said we, it's international community, had to renew the Commissioner for Human Rights, Mr. Turk. He was proposed by the Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, and 144 countries voted in favor of the renewal. By the way, do you know how many member states at the United Nations? Okay, 193 member states. So 144, you've got the majority. But 10 countries opposed this, and among them, there was good friends of human rights, like Russia, like Mali, Burkina Faso, which have very bad records in this field. But also we had America for different reasons. But we thought it's very sad that we cannot unite behind someone who is fighting for human rights. That's very important that we carry on defending the multilateral system wherever it is. It's important we follow the international law, of course, and to diminish the level of violence. France, UK, other member states of the United Nations proposed an initiative to help to secure the Detroit of the Strait of Hormuz. War is still raging, so we can't come, but once it's finished, we are ready to come, help demining, and limit the level of violence. We have to take initiatives so as to limit and to reduce the level of violence. So the world is changing rapidly, and now comes the question, what can we do together, France and Bangladesh? We face two options in today's world. First option is quite simple. We resign ourselves. Okay, let it be. What can we do, France? We are only 70 million people out of 8.8 billion inhabitants in the world. So we can, you are more numerous, you are 180 million, but France plus Bangladesh, I don't know if we can make the difference. I think we can. So we can resign ourselves, lament the rise of violence and power, and passively condemn them, which is important. But we can also decide to stand for what we believe in, what we share, which is our principles. And we can be active on the world stage, and we can champion these ideas. So the only solution for us, it's a French perspective. You can call it Gaullism, coming from de Gaulle, who said no. We lost the war in 1940 in a very brutal manner. France was the largest army in the world in 1939. We thought nobody will attack us because we had won the First World War. In 2 months, the French army, which fought very well, lost the war. De Gaulle said, no, we have not lost. We have lost the battle. We have to fight. In this time, it was a brutal fight. Now we want a peaceful fight, but we want to fight for ideas. We don't have to accept this. So we have to put forward some principles. It's very rooted in the French diplomacy, I would say, mindset. We have to fight for our principles. First one is that the systems of domination are doomed to fail. That is why under our presidency, the G7, now maybe you know this year France is president of, chair of the G7 group, we address the issues of major global imbalance and their resolutions. And we managed to have Mr. Trump, who was reluctant to come, but he recognized the importance of cooperating with other states. We seek for a new sustainable balance for all through a shared diagnosis and coordinated policies in many ways, in many topics, I mean. And so there is especially the Chinese overproduction. There is a European underinvestment. There is the American over-indebtedness. Many issues. So the underdevelopment of some least developed countries. We have to discuss that together and try to find solutions. Working together and challenging divisive forces, we have common principles and interests, and we must not shy away from working together. On the contrary, France and Bangladesh are well-intentioned partners who share an interest in multilateralism and that respects all parties. The second principle would be rejecting artificial divisions and grouping. I don't believe in the global South. When you see the South, if there is a South, it's not global. It's very diverse. I don't believe in a collective West. When you see the West, what people call the West, you see maybe more divisions than anything. That concept, these concepts are not helping to find solutions. There is European Union, that's a fact. We decided to join, to have rules between us, to call ourselves European Union. That's a fact. West doesn't exist. Global South doesn't exist. East doesn't exist. We have to see and to work with all the countries over the world. Bangladesh is one of them. So even if you are not West, for us it's not a problem. On the contrary, it's important we work with all the countries. So we have to try to find ideas, that's my job, and the job of your diplomats, to find topics on which we can work together. About climate change, for instance, about peace. You are very active in the peacekeeping operations. That's something we have to promote. We have to carry on pleading at the United Nations that we carry on developing and using the blue helmets in the best manner possible, because that's a factor for stability, which helps a lot to avoid conflicts. Maybe not to avoid, but to calm conflicts. That's very important. The third principle, I've already mentioned it, but still very important, is that international law is not dead. Many countries just taking stock of the situation, pretend that the international law has to be forgotten. So, we don't need to follow rules. On the contrary, I think we have to spend more time, more effort to implement international law. Because it's a common good, it's a condition for peace and stability, and the security for the majority. So we must work together to constantly reaffirm the primacy of international law over violence and unilateralism. Many areas of cooperation can emerge, and one of them is the need for peace in the Middle East. We know you favor a peaceful Palestinian state. We share this idea. For a long time, we decided not to recognize Palestine. There was a technical reason for that, because we think that when we recognize a state, it has to have frontiers. And as frontiers are still under discussion because of Israel's pressure, we waited the right time. What happened recently made it for us impossible not to recognize Palestine, and we see the question of the frontier, which is still open, very important. We stick to the 242 resolution of the Security Council of 1967, but difficult to implement, but we still believe in that. So we recognize the state of Palestine, because we think it's important now that the international community have as much as possible, maybe not unanimity, but a strong community of thought on this issue. So we can work more on these sort of issues, and I think it's very important. Also, to develop Indo-Pacific cooperation. Indo-Pacific has to be a free and free passage, peaceful, cooperative space. So we take initiatives to develop these sorts of issues with our Bangladeshi friends, with Indians, with Thailandese, with Indonesia, with many other countries, the whole region. It's very important that we help developing regional cooperation. So what I try to see is through principles. When I say principles, they are very concrete ideas, but they don't come from nowhere. We have to think of that. We have to sit with our Bangladeshi colleagues and try to engage them. Some countries have a tendency to limit themselves to their region, close region. It's very important that we share a more global mindset. So I will not carry on because it could be long, but I will just finish by saying that France and Bangladesh have a long history together. I mentioned some of them. We are very active. We have a small embassy here, but a very active one. We have a French agency for development. For instance, 2 billion euros have already been invested in Bangladesh for the last 14 years now, and we will carry on. We try to develop cooperation in many fields. It can be cultural fields. We discussed that recently, but we have some programs in archaeology, in culture, in teaching French language. But there is a very important point I would like to underline, is that we need you, students, to go and study in France. And we need more students from Bangladesh, because it's by knowing each other that we can develop links and create a common way of thinking of many issues. So it's very important that more French students come to Bangladesh, more Bangladeshi students go to France, so that you can develop your knowledge of France, of Europe, and a different way of thinking. It's a very easy place to live, France, because you don't need to speak French fluently. Even not, you can study. There are more than 1,300 programs in English in French universities. And French universities has done are usually public ones. The best one are the public one, and the fees are very limited in comparison with other countries, not because the quality is less, but because it is paid by the state directly. In France, we have a tradition of a state very powerful, very active, so the state pays a lot, so fees are very limited. So we try to encourage you. There is, maybe you know, or I don't know, but Campus France Campus France, which is a French organization which is based in Dakar, but which answers any question how to go to France to study. So that's very important that we develop people-to-people links. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for that thoughtful address. You have given us many ideas to discuss. May I now invite you to join me for a short conversation. Excellency, I promise that this will be a conversation, not an examination. But we are at university, so I cannot promise that all the questions will be easy. Joe, you arrived in Bangladesh fairly recently. You have also worked in this region before. What has surprised you most about Bangladesh, and what have you discovered here that you didn't fully expect?
About Bangladesh?
Yeah.
Well, it's a journey. So I've started only a year ago. So no, I'm very impressed by the resilience of Bangladeshis, because you live in a very beautiful nature, but very demanding. Flows and climate change, it's very complex. And I see impressive resilience by the Bangladeshi people. And I see also resilience of the Bangladeshi people in their desire, interest, love for democracy. I had a chance I arrived 10 months ago. It was still the interim government. I was not there during the 2024 events, uprising. But when I went during the elections, before and just after, really I see that there is a strong desire of democracy. And that's also, I didn't mention it because it's more internal, but it's very important. That's something we share. We share the respect for the people. And your uprising went from the fact that some did not respect anymore the desire of the people. That's difficult. It means challenges, it's very complex, but that's something I discovered here that I maybe didn't discover, for instance, in my first posting. When I was in Russia, when I was talking about democracy, they were watching me with big eyes. What do you mean, democracy? Is it really needed? Of course, yes. But for them, you have to understand that democracy is associated with the period of the 90s. When Yeltsin came, it was called democracy, but it was just a global mess and a very complex, corruptions everywhere. And for them, it's associated to this period, which is not democracy, which was a fake democracy. Anyway, when you speak about democracy in Bangladesh, it resonates, it means something.
Have you found any special connection between Bangladesh and France at the level of people and culture?
Well, what you have to recognize, and I have to recognize, that France is not very well known in Bangladesh. When I say France, people say, oh yes, Eiffel Tower. Yes, it's true, but there is much more in France. And when I say Bangladesh to my friends in France, Bangladesh, yes, Rana Plaza. No, that's not the only thing. There are many, oh yes, Bengal, they know Bengal. Bengal, tigers of Bengal, Sundarbans, that they know. So there is something we have to create. That's what my last words were, a call for more contacts, people to people, because I think we don't know very well each other. And we have a lot to share. I know, because I've been living here for 1 year, I know you much better than before, and I think we can go very well together. That's something for sure. Your ambassador in Paris is very active on that, but it's a long journey.
Joe, you mentioned in your introductory speech that France and Bangladesh have a very warm relationship. But warm relations in a phrase diplomats often use. What does it mean in practical terms today? And what are France's main interest in Bangladesh?
Main
Interest in Bangladesh. France's main interest in Bangladesh.
investor
Interest.
interest. We see really Bangladesh, the main asset of Bangladesh is the fact that it's, as I mentioned already, it's a peaceful and cooperative country. I think for us it's a key issue. We can do many things together. We can push ideas, we can push our interests, global interests on the world stage because we have, you have this feeling. You have also a big interest for us. You are very good in ready-made garments, but not only in ready-made garments. So you are capable to develop an industry, very effective one, and that's something which I think we could work more on that. But we need many, many conditions, and a desire of your government to welcome more investors. But I think it's a real possibility that French groups, I mean firms, come and invest in Bangladesh because you demonstrated in 25 years capacity to develop a very effective industry such as ready-made garments.
So if you had to name three areas with the greatest potential, what would they be? If you want to find three areas to cooperate with Bangladesh,
I don't guess.
according to you.
Sorry, we are very good, but I don't.
So if you have to name three areas, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you mean between France and Bangladesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. First, I think 3 points. One is cooperation on global stage, for sure.
Okay.
Diplomats have to work more together. You have to have a higher profile in international community is something for sure. Second, investments in some very technical areas such as pharmaceuticals, such as energy, green energy. We can do a lot together. And the third one on which we can develop, I think, and we try to do that, which is cultural relation. You have a very old and very impressive culture. I think we have to do more for you to be better known in France, in Europe. So on that, we have to work together more.
Okay. Let's move from diplomacy to the economy, and that may be of special interest of the students to the students here, because economic relations should finally create skills, opportunities, and jobs. How do you see the present state of trade and investment between Bangladesh and France?
Well, for investment, I think...
Are we using the full potential of this relationship?
A lot needs to be done, honestly. And I know that the government is well aware of this, because it's not only France, it's foreign countries. So there is a lot to do so as to improve the business environment. And it can be very precise. When you have benefits, when a company comes and makes benefit, that's the objective of any company, it has to be able to repatriate part of the benefits to its home country. So far, it's very difficult. So French companies say, okay, we invest, but what's the interest for us? Second, very important, is to improve the fight against corruption. That's something that the Prime Minister, when we met him, mentioned among the first priorities of his government, and we share it. There is also everywhere, and in France we are very good at that, which is red tape. Red tape is always something which prevents companies to invest. And there is also the need to give clear orientation to what you would like to accept and to welcome as investors. There are certainly some sectors in which investments, foreign investments, are more desired. And that's exactly what the government is doing now through the budget. He gave some indication in which field they think it could be worth investing more.
Bangladesh export to Europe is still depend heavily on ready-made garments, RMG sector, you know, and how can we make the relationship more diverse? Could you do more together in technology, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, renewable energy, aviation, infrastructure, or the blue economy?
A danger in diplomacy is to believe that you can do everything. It's not true, as simple as that. I can have incentives, I can show my interest for something. At the end, that's the private sector which will invest. It's not public money, it's private money. So the main issue is for the government, I mean, the Bangladeshi government, to show its desire to welcome investment, which, on which field, which areas, and then to promote itself to welcome European and French companies. French companies are now facing a very simple situation. European Union has signed a very large number of free trade agreements and investments with many countries, with Australia, with India, with Vietnam, with Mercosur, the whole Latin America, not with Bangladesh, because Bangladesh so far was not interested in that. They had a very positive and a generous scheme which allowed RMG products to go to France and Europe without tariffs. It's been the case for the last 25 years, and they thought it was enough. It seemed they were happy with ready-made garments. They gave a clear signal that what matters for them was ready-made garments. So be it. So we tried to answer this. Now they discover that they need to diversify. Good. So we are ready to see how we can do. But at the end, if you want more direct investment, you need BIDA, the Bangladesh Investment Development Agency, to be more active abroad, to promote Bangladesh, to brand Bangladesh, and to attract through different sort of schemes, which is their decision, to attract companies. I think in energy, France, we have companies, very performing companies in different fields, but in the energy field, we have some companies. In the public services, we've got good companies, so they could be attracted. But you have to present a better image of yourself and to organize and show where you want us to invest more.
For long-term investment, you have mentioned about stability, trust, clear regulations, one-stop service like that. But how important are the rule of law, labor standards, intellectual property rights, and policy continuity?
That's key. When you go to a country, a foreign country, if you don't know if there's a problem, if a judge will decide in an objective manner of if he or she is biased, that's key. That's what we observe. Again, I know Russia, so I can give the example of Russia. It's very difficult for French investors to go to Russia, because when you go to Russia, you need to have a local investor with you, a partner. You can't go directly. You are never sure of his or her contact with the government, which are very important. And you know that the judge are usually biased, and that if you have a problem, the problem is for you. So that's absolutely key, and that's why we insist on the fact that independence of justice and rule of law have to be developed. We do the same in Europe. It's not only Bangladesh, it's all over the world. When you investor, he wants to be sure that the money he puts somewhere will be treated in a fair manner. So that's key.
We are sitting in a university, so we must now speak directly about students, as you mentioned a few things in your speech. Many Bangladeshi students know about universities in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, or Australia. France is often less familiar to them. So why should a student from Rajshahi University consider France?
Why? Do you like croissant? Oui, good. I mean good croissant, not in pepper. No, why go? Because first, we have top universities in the ranking, the world ranking. We have among the top one in the world. So you go there, especially, but not only in the business school sector. We've got among the top leading. So if you want to be well formed, you go there. Second, you see there is a huge diversity of subjects. You can study at the highest level sociology, you can study art, you can study history, you can study business, you can do science. France is becoming the European hub for artificial intelligence. So you will find a huge diversity of very good universities. So
And language is not a barrier.
I come to that. So the second reason is that certainly you. The third one would be that going abroad means, at minimum, a desire to discover something new. If you go abroad to stay in your family, close family, which has immigrated to America, and you stay in your small, okay, why not? But it's you enrich yourself when you go and discover another country. I went when I was young to Germany. I was very interested because we are very close, but we are very different at the same time. And I discovered the whole history, way of thinking. It's very enriching. So if you go to France, you will be enriched. You come to a country with a very old culture, a well-known one, but with great thinkers. And you will go in a place where there is debates, there is a different way of thinking. And you go a place which is not only France, which is Europe, and which is very important. Because now Europe is so that it's intercultural. We have a program in Europe, which is an Erasmus program. Maybe you know about that, which makes students. So when you go to French university, you will meet not only French students, but you will meet also German students, Spanish students, I don't know, Swedish students, Irish students, and also students from Africa, because there is a long tradition of studies from the elite of Africa in France. But you will also have we have now many American students, and from Asia, from India, from Australia. So in a single university, I did a business school before joining the civil service. At that time, we were it was very elite, so we were only 300. There were maybe 20 foreigners. Now, there are 600, and I think there are almost 250 foreigners from all over the world. So you meet French, you meet Europeans, and you meet the world when you go to France. And I think that's very important. When you go in some countries, you've got a very limited number of foreigners, and that I think it's absolutely key when you take the risk to go abroad, to discover a new country, a new way of thinking, studies. You are sure to have good university, good academic level, and to discover the world. French, again, is not a barrier. French is not a barrier, because as the French universities are more and more international, English is very present. I will not shy away, and I will tell you, to know some French is good. If you want to buy the right cheese, you have to ask the right question, to test it, to exchange. So French is useful. But you can survive very easily, especially in Paris and in big cities, only with English. But it would be sad to come and discover France and not learn a minimum of French. Alliance Française is there to open your mind and help to learn some French. But really, with English only, you can perfectly survive in France and be very happy.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. But what more can France do to expand scholarships, research links, teacher exchanges and joint academic programs for Bangladeshi students. Could Rajshahi University build direct partnership with French universities? What do you think?
So we have decided to create this French agency, to have a branch here, which is not the case for other countries. So Campus France is the place. There are 3 Bangladeshi who know very well France, they studied there, and they can give you all the advices for studying in France, to choose the right university, the right program. They can explain you how it works, and they can also, they make the report for the consulate. It's 2 different things. The council, they give the visas, but they have an advice from the Campus France, and it helps a lot. Because when the project is serious, you get a visa. When it's not serious, you don't get a visa. We have to face the reality that some students or some people want to go to France, and they think the best way is to have a visa for studying, but it's not a real project. It's just to go to France. So this, we have to say no. But the one who really wants to study in France, they are very welcomed.
Thank you. And we all know that France is known for art, literature, cinema, philosophy, and public debate. Bangladesh also has a rich language and cultural tradition. How can culture bring our people closer? And could France cultural and language programs reach cities such as Rajshahi more often beyond Dhaka and Chattogram?
We try to bring some part of French culture to Bangladesh. I have to admit, it is mainly through the Alliance Française. We have 2 Alliances Françaises, one in Chittagong, one in Dakar. There is no in Rajshahi, but I hope you will be to have the possibility to attend 1 or 2 events in this Alliance Française. It's very refreshing. It's a space for debate. That's very important, and also to see art. There are also many possibilities to discover French culture now through internet. You are all very connected. Bangladesh is among the most connected countries in the world. So on YouTube, you can find many options to discover French culture. That's not the best way, but it's a good way. I'm not in France. We are a bit hesitant. We like true culture and performing arts, which is very important. But I watch a lot of theaters, plays on internet, in French, in English, and I think it's very refreshing. So it's also a possibility.
Let us turn to a challenge that connects local life with global politics, climate change. France played a leading role in creating the Paris Agreement. Bangladesh is one of the countries most exposed to climate change, although it has contributed very little to the problem. What should climate justice mean in practice for a country like Bangladesh?
Of climate change?
Climate justice, yeah.
You know better than me about the impact of climate change, unfortunately, because I went recently in the north part of Bangladesh, in the Chos region, where there is these islands and the population living on the islands, and every monsoon times they have to evacuate and try to find. So there is a Franco-Bangladeshi NGO, which is Friendship NGO, which is financed by France, but not only by France, by Luxembourg and by other. It is run by Bangladeshi with French volunteers and financed by Agence Française de Développement, AFD. And they work on resilience and adaptation. So it's not climate change itself, but it is very important. They create some places, safe places. They create also what was lacking, many public services, from school to doctors. They've got 2 boats, which are hospitals. And this is directly to help fighting not the climate change itself, but the consequences of the climate change. And that's very important to help resilience, that we have this sort of initiative. So we finance this sort of things. For the more global issue of climate change, You know, France was the leader of this fight and is still a leader of this fight. In 2015, we had the Paris Agreement we tried to implement. When I was referring to multilateralism and international law, clearly I was thinking of this. Some countries now, or some politicians and presidents do not believe in the need to fight climate change. We have to reassert it at the global level. And we had some results. We made improvements through this because a collective effort may help to raise awareness, and some countries have to change the way, and in Europe we have changed in a very dramatic manner about emission of CO2. That's very important.
Here is another challenging issue for Bangladesh. As you know that Bangladesh is moving beyond least developed country status, LDC graduation. This is a sign of progress, but it will also bring new pressure on trade, jobs, and competitiveness. How can France and the European Union help make this transition fair and sustainable regarding the LDC graduation?
About the
LDC graduation, least developed countries graduation.
Bangladesh is no more an LDC. It's been the case for the last 8 years. The criteria, 3 criteria, the United Nations makes that you are not an LDC. And it's very positive. It's very positive. Your revenue per capita is higher than the one in India and higher than the one in Pakistan. It's a fact. So we created a LDC system collectively to help less developed countries to develop themselves. It worked very well for Bangladesh because in 2001, Bangladesh was among the less developed countries, and through the everything but the arms, which makes a zero tariff for Bangladeshi goods, you benefited a lot, and RMG sector exploded, which is very good, but it could have been done for other products. Now it's time for Bangladesh to develop without being helped, because benefiting from this specific regime of zero tariff, because it's useful for other countries which are less developed in Africa, in Pacific region, and all over the world. So now that Bangladesh has benefited a lot, it's good that it fights with its own weapons, and the weapons is quality, efficiency, and I'm not worried for that, because in America they have no help from the American government. On the contrary, you've got tariffs and more tariffs and even more tariffs, and despite that, the ready-made garment sector from Bangladesh is very, very competitive. You win market share year after year in America, so I'm sure you will be able to do it even in Europe. So I think it's time. So you need some adaptation, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I don't know exactly, altogether. You should graduate now. There are 3 years of adaptation in any case. So we can postpone a bit, but in the midterm, it will be time for Bangladesh to
Joe, I would now like to raise a difficult humanitarian and political issue. Bangladesh has hosted the Rohingya people for many years. International attention and funding are declining, as you know, yet safe return to Myanmar still appears distant. Has the international community failed the Rohingya and also failed Bangladesh?
Rohingya?
Yeah.
Rohingya is we are not experts in that, but it's a global issue, because it's not only a Bangladeshi issue or Myanmar issue, it's a world issue. So we had to fund, but we know that the solution is peace in Myanmar and the return of the Rohingya population. As long as Myanmar is not stabilized and they are fighting, I don't see, and I think nobody sees. So on that, we are exactly in the same line as the Bangladeshi government. We have to try to exert pressure and to entice the Myanmar government to be more, to accept its reality. That's
And their people.
Rohingya are from Myanmar. That's what they refuse.
Let us now look at the wider world. France is a European country. It is also an Indo-Pacific power, as you mentioned in your speech. And Bangladesh is at an important point in the Bay of Bengal. How does France see Bangladesh's role in the Indo-Pacific?
We think as we have common challenges, we have to have common responses. That's the base of everything. And Bangladesh has to be more vocal to push for the principles I evocated, which is a free passage, which is peaceful zone, free of weapons, and that no power try to impose its own rule to a region or part of the region. So that's very important that you are vocal when you have bilateral talks with other countries. It's important that Bangladesh also says that we all need to stick to principles. Not only France to say vocally, but Bangladesh has to play its role. And that's very important that your diplomacy be very vocal on that, because it's also your responsibility.
So my question is that smaller and middle-sized countries now face a strong pressure from major powers. They want partnerships, but they also want independence. How can Bangladesh work with France while protecting its sovereignty and strategic balance?
You say they want partnership, but they want independence. I beg to disagree with you. I would not say but. I say partnership is part of your sovereignty. It's because you are sovereign that you can partner. If you don't partner, your sovereignty is not there. So I think it's very important for Bangladesh to assert its sovereignty. And it's complex with some major powers, which tends to be more brutal, as I mentioned in my initial speech. So I think my advice, you are sovereign, so Bangladesh does as it feels it better, is to develop links with countries which are not pressuring them. And there is one group, which is the European Union, not only European Union, no? There is Japan, there is Australia, there is Brazil, many other. But so I think it's important to develop connections, partnership, links with these countries rather than other big ones. Usually big ones invite themselves, so you don't have the choice. But you have to say it clearly, I want to partner more, to do more with the like-minded, I would say.
France,
it's very important, it's a choice. It's a choice you can accept or you can't accept. In Europe, we have NATO. America has a very big role in NATO. So there are different sorts of partners, of member states of NATO. Some, they accept everything from America, and some others say, no, we are equal. So for that, we agree. For that, we don't agree. We saw it during the Iran war. Some countries were ready to accept American planes to refuel before attacking Iran. Some others, Spain, France, Italy, and many others, said, no, thank you. We are partners in defending ourselves together, but we are not partners when you attack a country without respecting the international law. So sorry, it's not because we are allies that we accept everything. But you have to assert it. So it's your responsibility as government, your government's responsibility to decide whether or not they yield to pressure. But we see the level of pressure is going up. That's a fact. No?
France often speaks about democracy, human rights, and multilateralism. At the same time, many young people around the world see double standards in global politics as a whole. How does France answer that criticism?
The fact that human rights are less respected.
Democracy, human rights, multilateralism.
We speak out. Yesterday, I mentioned in New York, French ambassador dared to say what everybody thinks, but nobody dares to say, that it's very surprising that America, which used to be a beacon of human rights, is now voting with Mali and North Korea and Russia, which are not shining for their records in human rights. So it's surprising that a country like America, which is a democracy, can be on the same side. But we have to say it, the main thing we have to do is to defend and support the human rights institutions that were created by the international community, that has been created for the last 70 years. I worked two years of my life as a human rights desk officer in Paris. I can assure you that it's an everyday fight, and when we have meetings with other countries, we try to reassert this. There is a fight which is very important for us. It doesn't really resonate in Bangladesh, but I make the plea today. We believe in the importance of abolition of death penalty, which is for us part of human rights. You can be judged, you can be punished, but to take the life of someone because what he did may be awful and unacceptable, but there are other ways to punish someone. So we plead for that. And we organize meetings. We had recently international forum in Paris against the death penalty. We think it's very important to reassert that and to discuss. When we decided to abolish death penalty in France, it was in 1991. You would have asked the French to vote, the French population, the French people. They would have voted certainly 70% in favor of death penalty. 70% in favor of. We decided to abolish it. Now you ask, because we thought, it was President Mitterrand who did that, we thought it's a human right. You have to respect this, respect for life. Even if this person did the worst things in life, we have to punish him or her, for sure, but there are other ways for human beings than to kill another human being. We respect countries which use this way of punishing people. We don't share it. And we say it. And since we have launched a campaign against death penalty, year after year, there are more countries which stop death penalty. Now you would ask French people who is in favor, who is against. I think 90% would be against death penalty. There are still French who think that death penalty is a good thing. We do not. So to answer your question very precisely, human rights, it's an everyday fight.
So my final question to you, Mr. Joe. Bangladesh has been undergoing a significant political transition since mid-2024. As both of us said before, France has historically placed a strong emphasis on democratic values in its foreign policy. How does France view the current situation in Bangladesh?
The present situation in Bangladesh. What we observed, and we had an electoral observation mission, European one, is that you had elections, very impressive elections, because it was free, fair, and accepted. So we say, we just commend these impressive results, which demonstrate the desire of Bangladeshi people for democracy. So we are very happy to be able to work with an elected government, democratic government, which is there for the next 5 years. I mean, there is an election for the next 5 years, so it's very important because we can do much more than with other self-government. We have relation with the Bangladeshi people. But when the government is a democratic one, I can assure you it's much simpler. And to tell you everything, I was sent here to relaunch the relation between France and Bangladesh after the years of Sheikh Hasina and the interim government. Paris said we have to move forward because now we can cooperate more. So that's why they sent me here.
Thank you, Excellency. We have heard the diplomatic view. Now it is time for Rajshahi University. I would like to open the floor We'll take questions in 2 or 3 rounds. In each round, we'll take 3 or 4 questions together. The ambassador will then respond to the full round. Please keep your question brief. Please ask one question only, and please make it a question, not a long speech. When you receive the microphone, please tell us your name and department. Faculty members, students, all of you are welcome. Female students, female faculty members are, we would like to hear from you more. So, who would like to begin? You, please. Microphone. No, we are recording the program, so.
So His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, thank you for visiting at the University of Rajshahi. My name is Mohammad Shariful Islam. I teach international relations here. So I was wondering that if you look at Bangladesh, I mean, there is a growing food insecurity as well as energy insecurity because of the war that you already mentioned. That's a growing challenge. And on the one hand, our population is increasing. It is more than 118 million. On the other hand, our arable land is decreasing. So against this backdrop, I was wondering that, I mean, blue economy holds the future for Bangladesh. So as an ambassador of France, can you tell us or can you enlighten us that how can blue economic cooperation be strengthened between Bangladesh and France, considering the greater well-being of the people in the country? Thank you.
Let's take 2-3 questions together. Together, and then it's on blue economy, food security, energy security. Next, please. Mic over there.
Greetings, Your Excellency. Welcome to the University of Rajshahi. Thank you. So, my name is Naushin Islam, and I am a master's student in the Department of International Relations. So I have quite a few questions, but due to the limitations, I have chosen one for you. So we all know that France places strong emphasis on human rights and democratic values as its foreign policy. So how can Bangladesh and France cooperate more effectively to strengthen human rights, social inclusion, and good governance, while respecting national priorities and development needs? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Next, please, Mike.
Bonjour, Your Excellency. I'm Atiya Shakira Sohi, a master's student studying in the Department of Philosophy. My question to you it's a very simple question. What's the most important lesson you have learned from throughout your diplomatic career, as you have served several countries? Thank you.
Next, here. Yeah.
Greetings, Your Excellency. My name is Samir Samantha Proka. I'm from Department of Political Science. My question is, how does the French decentralization model balance local autonomy with central government control, and what mechanisms are followed to ensure accountability and transparency in French local government? Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 or 4 questions in this round. Excellency, may I invite you to respond? First of all, Professor Sharif talked about the food security, insecurity, food energy, and blue economy. Second, human rights issue. Yeah, please.
Okay. These are new issues, very important issues. And again, maybe I repeat myself, it has to be solved by sitting around the table and try to put an emphasis. For instance, blue economy. We have decided to pay a French expert. She's Italian, but she's a French expert in hydrography, because blue economy is a vast area which is not well and enough developed. So we identified this, and we can't do everything, so we decided to put one on hydrography, which develop your system of surveillance of the floods, of the waters, and which will help fishermen and fisherwomen, maybe, fishermen to develop their own activity in a positive manner, because there is a lot of resources in the sea, and you have to make sure that you won't exhaust them, and you are efficient when you go there. So you need a system which gives you captors, and with satellites and so on, to improve your capacity to react. So that's something new. 10 years ago, it was used a bit in France, in some countries. Now it comes to Bangladesh. That's cooperation. We think we have an experience, we are ready, we're happy to share. That's an example of what we can do together. And it goes through cooperation. It's not by threatening the others, you do that, they'll say, we do together. Okay?
So next question was on human rights, democracy, social inclusion. How can Bangladesh and France cooperate with each other?
There is a, I don't know who asked the question, you. There is a body which is under attack now, which is a Human Rights Council. When I was younger, desk officer for human rights, it was a Human Rights Commission. Member states of the United Nations decided to create a council, which makes the same level as the Security Council. It's important we defend it. It's important we defend collectively the Human Rights Commissioner, who is the one who is not the boss, he's the one who is a secretary. He's a voice of many of the ones who have no voice in the international system. So when he's under attack by Russia, because they don't agree, by Israel, because they don't agree with what he says, it's important we reaffirm he has a right, he has a duty to perform his job, which is to speak for the one who can't defend their own rights. So Bangladesh could be more vocal on these issues, as we try to be. That's through the bodies, international bodies that exist, multilateral one, that we will, on the long term, impose a human rights order which is respectful for everybody. So that's, for me, very simple. You can take initiatives, you can help Palestinian people, but what matters is that we vote with the feet at the end. If we go to the Human Rights Council, if we express ourselves, if we denounce, if we push for more equality and respect for the others, little by little it will be heard. It's a complex fight, let's be very clear. And we see that some countries which were, as we mentioned in New York, beacon of human rights, suddenly they become less because there are elections, and so it's not a simple fight, I would say.
Next one is lessons you have learned from your diplomatic career.
What I have learned, you have 6 hours, 7 hours, I can... I don't know what I have learned. As I spent a lot of time in the UN system, and you see I'm talking about multilateralism, honestly, I do believe sincerely. Before I believed, but I was just a believer, I'm not a practitioner. Now I'm a practitioner. I believe in respect for the others. When you work at the United Nations, you have to listen to the others, even small countries. When you work in the EU, you have to listen to the others. And I've learned one sentence, which is an African say, which is very simple, which is, alone, you go faster. Together, you go further. It may seem simple, but it's so true. We observe when you like history, like I do, but sometimes you've got someone who comes and he said, I will settle the problem, you'll see. I do it on my own. Iraq, 2003. These guys are terrible, they've got nuclear weapons, they're going to attack us, to threaten us, so we go. We kick them, we win, we stop, we come back. It's done. Job done. You've seen the result. They were very convincing. They went to the UN with a small bottle. The proof that the Iraqis have some nuclear weapons, or not nuclear, it was not nuclear at the time, it was, well, chemical, etc. Massive destruction weapons. So we have to destroy them and destroy the regime. I think it was not a good solution because there are rules, international law. It's not easy. We see with Iran. Iran is not an easy country. They are developing nuclear weapons. So we understand that there is a need to find a way to block them, because I believe in the fact that we don't have to allow the spread of nuclear weapons. But I think together we go further and better. That's really what I believe. I also discovered one thing in my career, is that how a diplomat, senior French diplomat summed up in this sentence, which is, after all, the others do not think like us. It may be a bit simple, but it's very true. My most shocking experience was in Belgium, in Brussels. I spent 2 years in Brussels negotiating at the EU, and I thought I was going in a country after Russia, which was very exotic, very different. I was sent to Brussels, and I thought it was going to be like in Paris. I used to go to Brussels. I know very well Brussels. When I was younger, I used to go, had friends there, so I felt at home. But I discovered that it was a trap. They look like us, they are very close to us, but they are very different. And it's very interesting to see the differences. But they are so similar. They speak the same language, but they think different way. So that's what I learned in my... before coming here, I was in India. I discovered India. Then I came to Bangladesh. I thought South Asia. I know some words, etc. It's very different. You are very different from Indians. And it's very interesting to see the difference. I respect Indians, I respect Bangladeshi, but what is interesting in my life is to understand this, to try to explain. I'm sure in Paris, they make no difference between India, Bangladesh, Asia. That's why I don't like this wording, the groups, that's the West, Asia. No, we are different. And my job, and what is interesting in my job, is to try to see the differences. And also what is common, because you have a lot in common with Indians, of course. And we have a lot in common with Belgians, of course. But still, the world is very complex. And there's this complexity that the job, the work of a diplomat, it makes it very interesting, very interesting. And when you go, and I'm sure that an observer from Rajshahi and Dhaka will see differences. But for international relations, it's not that important. But that's what I learned during my career.
And the last question was on decentralization, relationship between local government and central government.
Local government?
And central government.
In Bangladesh?
In Bangladesh or any other country, how do you see?
Okay. Difficult to answer this question. I'm not very familiar with the local government, even in France. In France, we experience something. I can give you our experience. We have a history which is 100% centered on the central state. It's very different from Italy, on Germany. In Italy, they had their unity in 1861. For us, France has been existing for centuries, but we date the very beginning of a nation as a global thinking. We give a date. It's not a date, but usually it dates back to the 1214. So, which means almost 800 years ago. So we have a central state, which is everything. I wanted to serve as a civil servant at the central level, not at the local level. When you go to Italy, it's the opposite. They don't say, I am Italian, they say it, but they say, I am from Rome, I am from Verona, I am from Venice, I am from... The local ground is more important than the national one. So the level between central government and local government depends and has to depend from the public perception. So in France, that the local bodies do not have a lot of power, it's not a problem, because what matters is the state. I mean, central state. We had a revolution in France, maybe you don't know, it's 1982. After Mr. Mitterrand was elected, he came and he said, we have to change this. Local governments have something to say, have something to give, and it's good we run things also at the local level, because if not, it makes a big difference between the citizens and the government, and it's maybe frustrating. So we had an experience, which is still on, where we gave much more power to local bodies. And it's still a shock for us. Sometimes we do not understand why they have this power. And it gave a lot of positive things as well. So it's very subtle and difficult to make a generalization on that. I'm sorry, but it has really to be adapted in each country. And, but it's very important that local government, that things have to be run at local level. In Europe, we've got a principle, which is a subsidiarity system. I don't know if you know what it means. It means that each problem has to be settled at the right level. It's easy to say like that, but it means global problems have to be settled at central level, and local problems to be settled at local level. Central Europe has not to do everything. States have their role, and local problems have to be settled. So it's difficult to find the right balance. It's a challenge every time, but it's very important we have that in mind. The central state has not to do everything, because it can't. It can't.
Thank you, Excellency. Let us take a second round. Many hands. Please, Mike. I will try.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your different understanding of international relations and French global politics. I'm Aishwarya Sanjukta Roy Proma, a lecturer of international relations at University of Rajshahi. We welcome you wholeheartedly. So I just wanted to understand a different perspective, as French and Bangladesh trade almost exceeds to 4 billion. So what kind of specific structural or regulatory adjustments does France hope to see in Bangladesh to its transition for a balanced commercial partnership? Thank you.
Next, please. Tashfia.
Your Excellency, first of all, I would like to thank you for your insightful remarks. My name is Jessica Jane Jumi, and I'm the student of Department of Political Science at the University of Rajshahi. Your Excellency, France has already supported Bangladesh through initiatives in climate finance, cost management. So now my question is to you, could you kindly elaborate on how these efforts will be further expanded to address emerging climate change in Bangladesh? Thank you.
Front row, please. Yeah. Yeah, Tashfia. In front row.
Thank you very much. At first, I want to thank the then government, French government, recognized the Bangladesh as independent country from
please,
the early...
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Amina Khatun. I am a faculty member. And in your discussion, you have mentioned that there are some opportunities for the students for higher education in France. You have mentioned some universities' name, But but we observed that the journalism students or media students have little chance to French universities. So do you have any plans? I mean the embassy, do you have any plans for any academic exchange programs with the journalism departments or media institutions to exchange students, for example, internship programs or any academic programs, so that students can easily to go and learn or start their careers. I want to ask another question, if you allow, for especially the Rohingya issues, because I have studied that from the very beginning of, from the 2017, there are more than 1 million Rohingyas forced to come Bangladesh. And now 1.4 million Rohingyas living in Bangladesh. But we do not see any repatriation. Any single Rohingyas get back to the country, their country. So do you have, do you have any pressure? What type of activities the French government put pressure on the Myanmar government to get back their citizens? Thank you so much.
This side, yeah, please. Edik. Your mic there. I'll come to you.
Your Excellency, thank you for insightful remarks. I'm Rauful Islamidu, a student of International Relations, University of Rajshahi. Including me, many Bangladeshi students aspire to pursue higher education in France. Although you have mentioned that language is not a barrier anymore, we can manage with English as well. But my question is, beyond scholarships, are there any ongoing discussions on simplifying credit transfer or post-study research opportunities for Bangladeshi public universities, especially University of Rajshahi? Sir, if you please. Thank you.
Thank you. Ambassador, it's your turn. So,
about studies in France, there was different questions. I can just repeat what I said. What matters first is that you are interested to go and discover a new country, a new way of thinking, and to follow demanding studies, which is important. When you go to France to study, you work. That's not for fun that you go to study. The second thing is, as there is a huge diversity of possibilities to study in France, again, the best option is to go to Campus France. They will explain you. I am not an expert on all the programs, all the schools. It's their job, they do it very well, so please contact Campus France. They are the ones who will be in position to give you all the advices, the best advices, and also the possibilities for scholarship, how to go to France. That's key. The second question was the other question I talked about.
For the journalism students, is there any scope for them to study in France?
For what? For?
Media students. Yeah. Journalism students. Journalism. Yeah.
Yes, of course, there are schools. In Sciences Po, for instance, in Paris, there is a school, very famous one, which is a school of journalism, which is Sciences Politiques. They call it Sciences Politiques, political science is the name of the school, which is at the very heart of Paris. I am an alumni of this school, and there is a program specific for journalism, but there are many others. And again, Campus France can tell you, according to your level, what you are looking for. They can teach journalism, and that's very possible, of course. Yes.
And collaboration on climate change, further expansion.
Collaboration on climate change, we are doing that every day. It's collaboration, it goes through financing and also about adopting new norms that government has to follow. So the best thing you have to do is to put pressure on your government so that when it takes decision, it includes the climate change dimension in its policies. We have this for the Agence Française de Développement. Mr. Macron said, now, in Bangladesh, all the programs of the Agence Française de Développement, French Agency for Development, has to integrate a dimension of climate change and a dimension of women empowerment. So it's a global policy. And now, the head, she's a lady, when she developed a program with Bangladesh, she has to prove me that there is a dimension of women empowerment and the climate change dimension. It's compulsory, she has no choice. And I would not sign if there is not this. So that principle, so you have to ask the same for your government. You have to put pressure and say that's very important for you as well, not only for the government, but for you.
Another one was on trade between Bangladesh and France.
Trade between Bangladesh and France is very unbalanced, and we would like to balance it a bit better, because when you export 10 to France, we export 1 to Bangladesh, because the ready-made garment is so effective that we cannot, we are very happy to have some ready-made garments in France, Bangladeshi in France. What is important when you want to trade is reciprocity. Europe is facing, European companies are facing non-tariff barriers. So it means it's not because there is tariffs, but technical barriers. And that's a big issue, which makes that there is a huge deficit in the European side. So we work with the Ministry of Trade so that French companies which want, and European companies which want to export to Bangladesh are not prevented by technical reasons. The norms, the rules, red tape, administrative obligations. So that's part of the game. That it's not fair if the commerce, the trade is impeded by non-tariff barriers, which are usually non-visible ones, but real ones. You want to export, and customs decides to block your, I remember it was a case of, it's an example in India. We had Belgians, they export chocolates, very good chocolates. They sent a lot of chocolates in Mumbai, and the customs, I don't know why, or I've got ideas why, but I won't name them here. They blocked to make tests about food quality. It lasted as long as the chocolate melted. So everything was spoiled. So once it happens, when it happened once to you, you don't try again. That's a non-tariff barriers. And some countries are very good at that. So the job of the European Commission is to make sure that trade goes in both ways and that people are treated on the level playing field. And that's very important.
So we are running out of time. Can we take one more round?
One
more round?
Yes.
3-4 questions. Mike here. Please, ma'am.
Welcome, Your Excellency. It's a really honor for us to have you here. I'm Farhat Tasneem, professor of political science of this university. I have only one question, a basic one, and an ongoing debate, and I'm really sorry, I apologize if it is an embarrassing one. Actually, very few times, or I think we don't really get the opportunity to have a permanent member of the Security Council, a representative of a permanent member of the Security Council here in our campus. So I'm just taking the opportunity to ask you that this veto system, and you have a long experience at the United Nations, so how is France considering the veto system now
Thank you.
Okay.
Rifat?
Okay,
Okay.
uh,
Okay, you can answer.
I will answer this question. Veto system was created in 1945, for 5 member states. 2 of them were the 2 big ones. It was America and USSR. I don't know if you know, but it was a condition for the creation of the United Nations. Without this veto system, one or the other, mainly the USSR, would have refused the creation of the United Nations. It would have been the disunited nations. And we wanted, after the war, to have the United Nations. So it's maybe unfortunate that this veto exists, but it is history. It was a condition for the United Nations. France was not part of the member state at first. And it was proposed by Churchill before the creation that France would join. France was not happy with the system as it was. We did not participate in a lot. We were still in war at that time. And so we were proposed this. We accepted because we were one of the 5 permanent members of the League of the Nations before. China at that time, maybe you don't know, it was a nationalist China. It's only in 1971 that it was switched to the, not Taiwan, but Popular Republic of China. The veto exists. What matters more than the veto is what we do with the veto. And the second thing, I will come back on that. The second thing is that I do understand countries which are not permanent member and who think they should deserve to be permanent member. But Security Council is not the whole United Nations. United Nations is a global organization. And the difference between League of the Nations and United Nations is that we added 2 other pillars which were lacking desperately in the League of the Nations. There was a security one, which finally didn't work when Italy attacked Ethiopia, when Japan attacked Manchuria, etc. But there was nothing about development, and there was nothing about human rights. So United Nations created something different, which is not only utterly centered on security issues, because you can have security, but if you have no development, there will be no security. And if human rights are not respected, there is no security. So it's interconnecting. That's why we've got ECOSOC, which was created in 1945. That's why we insisted, with others, to create a council for human rights, not only a commission, a council. So we have 3 councils, and Security Council is one of them. It's not the most important one. So people who have narrow-minded and see the United Nations only through the Security Council, they make a big error, because it's very important. Your Minister of Foreign Affairs was a civil servant at the UN, but in the development sector. So you know that it's very important. And Security Council is not everything. And the more it goes, the more we see the Security Council as having problems to work together. At first, it was only 10 member states. It was enlarged in the 60s to 15 member states. But it was 9 at first, 9. 5 permanent, 4 non-permanent. So we went from 4 non-permanent to 10 non-permanent, which makes it a bit more representative. But a council is a council. It's not the General Assembly. What matters is the General Assembly, where all the member states, Vanuatu as much as United States, Paraguay as much as Russia, France as much as Bangladesh. Same level is the General Assembly. Security Council has a specific objective, to help fight against insecurity. And it has a lot of flaws. It doesn't work. very well. When you see now, when you watch who uses the veto, there are two countries which use it. You know them. What are the two countries which are the most using the veto? USSR, Russia, USA. USA, a lot of times about Israel. They put the veto for Israel. It's a problem that countries use so much the veto, but that's their right. And that was the condition for the creation of the United Nations. That was a bad for a good. You can criticize, but it's a fact. France is a country which used less the veto. We have the right. We could veto everything. We don't like, we veto. No, we think exactly the opposite. Veto is a possibility. But veto should not be the norm. I give you an example. Do you know when we used the veto the last time in France? 1989. 1989. So it means 37 years without using the veto. And before that, it was 1978. So we use it very rarely when we really think there is something, a big problem. So we thought we have to reform this. And 12 years ago, our president, Mr. Hollande, made an initiative, took an initiative, which was on the veto. So imagine our 4 colleagues at the Security Council, almost an heart attack. They are going to be against the veto. No, we are not against the veto. We know it is there. But we think that it has to be limited. So you can use the veto for good reasons, not for bad reasons. So we proposed that the veto at the 5 member states, and we did it, pledged not to use a veto when there is a case of mass murder, war crimes. There is a list of 4 or 5 very dire situations where veto can't be used in any case. And we promoted that. And we are trying to gain support. And I must admit, I'm not sure that the Bangladesh supports this initiative.
Thank you.
I have to check. And we've got 108 member states which support this initiative. The issue is to get the 4 other ones, not the 188 other countries. It's to have the 4 permanent members. So far, none of them has said, yes, it's a good idea. We discuss a lot with our British colleagues, but you can think what Mr. Putin will say about an initiative which will limit his capacity to block any initiative, even when he is attacking and violating the basic principles of the UN Charter. So he wants to keep it for wrong reasons. But we have to admit it. It's very depressing, but it's the way it is.
Thank you. Rifat.
Very last one.
Hello. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Khandakar Rifat Hossain. I work in FES Bangladesh. So I would like to appreciate your hopeful remarks in terms of human rights and international law in these difficult times first. And now my question is that you have mentioned that the Indo-Pacific region is a zone of free passage.
I don't hear you very well, sorry.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Thank you. You framed that the Indo-Pacific as a zone of free passage, peace, and cooperation. But where do you see Bangladesh sitting on that region, given that India and China has competing footprints in the Bay of Bengal?
First, I think Indo-Pacific is not only Bay of Bengal. So you've got responsibilities which go over Bay of Bengal. Yes. It goes over Bay of Bengal. So you don't have to think only regional. You have to think a bit larger. When we say free passage, India, and first we have to avoid what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, where a country, Iran, decides to block the passage. It could be the case in Malacca, it could be the case in many places. So you have to reassert regularly in international fora this key principle, and to make sure that the countries we are tempted to do the opposite understand that you will not accept it. And if there is a vast number of countries which say it, it will have a real impact, but if you say nothing. So when you go and visit these countries, it's important that we create a coalition of the willing. So that's very important. The other thing which is very important is that we demonstrate our desire to act, not only to speak. It's important to speak. Principles are key, but it's not enough. What we do regularly is that we have created with the European countries a force, naval force, which fights against piracy. Because free passage means free passage also without pirates, which attack your ships, etc. It's concrete. If Bangladesh wants to join this force, I think this can be adapted. Or if you want to create a force to make sure that there is no piracy, not only in the Bay of Bengal, but in a wider place, that's very important. So there's this type of initiative which makes our speech more concrete. So it's important to reassert regularly and to say, because there are some countries, I won't name them, but they are the extreme east of this continent, for which free passage in certain areas of sea close to their borders is not to be free. It has to be controlled by them. But you have to tell them, especially if your prime minister goes visiting these countries, he has to tell, I remind you that it's very important for us that we have in the Indo-Pacific region free passage. To say to Americans, to French, to Chinese, to Indians, to Sri Lankans, to everybody, that's a global, that's what I call a principle, a position we will defend, erga omnes, whatever, okay? But also, I think initiatives to demonstrate that it's not only a posture, but it's also something you are ready to engage for, that could be a possibility. You see, very concrete ones. Europe decided to do something because we thought that piracy between the Gulf of Aden and Bengal, it's full of pirates. So we have to make something, to do something, and we don't do it alone. We do it together with other peaceful countries, just to enforce these principles. Okay?
Thank you. Lady over there, please.
The very last one. It's already...
Respected dignitaries present in this hall, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Saida Anju, Professor, Department of Law of the same university. With due respect to the moderator, I'd like to take your kind permission for giving some insights or some ideas, not just a question.
We'd like to hear a question from you, but as a faculty member, we can give you 30 seconds.
Okay. Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you, the organizer, for giving us such a nice opportunity for talking with the ambassador in such a way, in direct, face-to-face conversation. Thank you. As far from your speech, I have addressed 2 or 3 key issues. First of all, we have started from the very League of Nations to the recent implementation of the international law. I have addressed that you have mentioned the multilateralism, then international law, and enforcing human rights. And I would like to share our views from the part on behalf of the university that we would like to introduce an institution here, an institute to conduct research fully or solely on the implementation of human rights and on the implementation of international law. So we can make consultation, we can initiate consultation with the help of the France Embassy. We can introduce an institute in this institution, in this prestigious institution, Rajshahi University, and we would like to make a collaboration with France Embassy regarding initiating an institute.
Thank you so much. You can contact the ambassador and the embassy as well. From this side, just 1 or 2 more questions maximum.
Ladies first.
Ladies first, as ambassador said, and then...
Greeting, Your Excellency. This is Maliha from Department of International Relations. I'm a master's student. I'm asking this question on behalf of my friend who is not present here. She wears hijab and at the same time she is interested to study in France, but she is concerned about the level of Islamophobia in France and whether she'll be welcome there or not. So how would you address this concern? This is my question. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again? Hijab, he's talking about the...
My friend wears hijab on head, covers her head.
Oh,
and she is interested to study in France, but she is concerned about the level of Islamophobia in France.
Yeah, thank you. We got it.
Clear.
There is no Islamophobia in France.
So there is no Islamophobia in France, as Ambassador said, so no worries about that.
I think it's not good to use these words because that's cliché. There is in France a system which is very simple, which is laïcité, secularism.
All right, thank you.
Okay, last question, please.
Which is secularism. And it's a system which allows, in the public space, the respect for everybody. We do not impose our faith to the others. We are absolutely free to believe in what we want in our private life. That's guaranteed by Constitution, and that's very important. And there are millions of Muslims in France, millions of Muslims in France who live very well, and there is no problem. In public spaces, like universities, it's important we respect each other, that the Jews do not come with kippah, that the Christians do not come with crosses, just trying to put their own beliefs over the others. We have to respect each other. And we are very proud of that, because it works very well. So it's true that in French universities, the signs of faith are to be limited. You can have a small cross or a small crescent or the hand of Fatima. It's very acceptable. But you can't showcase, you can't it has to be discreet. And that's the condition for the melting pot that we have in France. Jews, Muslims, Christians, non-Christians, people do not believe at all. That's the right. We have the right. It's protected by Constitution. So reassure your friend that if she stick to this principle, she will be very happy, of course. There is no problem. And there are millions of Muslim girls and women who are studying in French universities. But don't use this Islamophobia as a principle. There is nothing like that in France, on the contrary. They are very, very welcoming to Islam, which there are mosques in the very center of Paris. You've got historical mosques, and we have a long tradition, and we have a long history with countries, Muslim countries.
I can see a few hands from the middle, but I'm giving you 30 seconds to find someone, select someone to raise the hand. So you can select someone, you 4, 5. Please.
Good noon, dear Excellency. This is Hasibur Rahman from Department of Economics. As you mentioned in your speech that Bangladesh should diversify its export in pharmaceuticals, ICT, aviation. But recently, European Union has introduced carbon border adjustment mechanism tax. And by 2029, Bangladesh LDC benefit will be expired. In this context, how France can help Bangladeshi manufacturer to overcome the higher tax burden challenges and to meet the environmental compliances facing Bangladeshi manufacturing industry? Thank you very much.
Environmental compliances. Like
Environment?
On tax, yeah, tax.
For trade?
Right, yeah.
Yes, that's part of what we are discussing. Climate change. So if we are not, Europe has decided to put a pressure on us that we will limit our importation from countries we do not fight against climate change. So that the limitation, it goes more on our shoulders. So it makes the price higher. But we decided to stick to that because if we want seriously to fight against climate change, we have to take a lot of measures. And not only speak, but also act. So there is an environmental for all the countries, not only for Bangladesh, for all the countries, that we don't want to import in Europe products which are not done according to principles which will allow to fight against climate change. The same for forced labor. We don't want to buy some products which are done by children in bad conditions. The same for some products which are produced by Israeli firms in occupied territories. We said we don't want. So we won't buy these products. That's very simple. That's to put in act our principles. Principles, climate change is key. So we will buy only products which are compatible, which are going in the direction of fighting climate change. But it's, and it's a real constraint for French companies, and because it would be simpler to buy cheaper things. But we said, no, we've got standards, and we want to live to our standards.
Thank you. Any decision? No. Ladies or?
As you want.
So, please.
Give the microphone to this lady.
Thank you. Hello, welcome to our university. My name is Ashika Zaima Khan, and I'm pursuing my postgraduate from Mass Communication and Journalism. I have a very simple question, and that is, you have visited so many countries and you have met so many cultures. If you are asked to choose one thing from Bangladeshi culture for France, what it would be?
What cultural thing you will pick from Bangladesh? You have visited many countries, but
from Bangladesh?
From Bangladesh.
It's a difficult question.
Very difficult questions.
The one at the Security Council was simpler. What I like in Bangladesh is
if you want to pick from Bangladesh to Paris.
I try to. I would pick something I like.
Very difficult question, tough questions.
Give me some minutes to think, because it's not easy to answer, because I know you, but not very well, so I have to. No, what I think, something, I don't know if it's what I feel profoundly, and you understand that I'm a diplomat, so it's not a surprise. Something I would not take from Bangladesh, nor from France. I think it's a desire to know more the other. For me, it's key. I have 4 kids. Their mother is not French. She's French now, but she was not French. I'm very happy because they experience every day diversity. And I think it's important that Bangladesh experience the diversity. You are a very coherent global population. From Bengal, most of the Bangladeshi are from Bengalis, Muslims, but you have a diversity within your own country already. Yeah. Different religions, different origins, whatsoever. In France, it's the same. And I'm always very happy to feel this diversity. And my kids, they have a double culture, and even the triple one, because they lived abroad, so they know. So when I speak to them, they are not narrow-minded. They may be sometimes, but I try to fight this. And I think it's very important so I don't answer your question. I answer the opposite, I'm sorry. But I think it's very important that you experience diversity. And I would like France to experience more diversity as well, because very often diversity is just around the corner, but we don't see it. And we have to respect diversity. It's always interesting. What I like in being in Russia, in Italy, in Belgium, in India, here, It's to see how people tackle the same problems and they give different responses. And there is always something interesting to find in a response. You can always find a solution and something you can use. Take benefits. That would be my answer. Sorry if it's not exactly the question.
So thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry that we cannot take every question today. The number of raised hands shows how much interest that this conversation has created. Excellency, thank you so much. Today's conversation took us from Dhaka and Paris to Rajshahi, from classroom to climate change, and from trade to the future of the Indo-Pacific. But one message stands out. Relations between countries are not built by governments alone. They are built by people. They are built when a student studies in another country. They are built when researchers solve a problem together. They are built when artists share their work. They are built when businesses create fair opportunities. And they are built when we speak honestly and listen with respect. Excellency, thank you for speaking openly with us. Thank you for listening to our students. And thank you for making Rajshahi University part of the Bangladesh-France conversation. I hope this will not be your last visit to Rajshahi. To the leadership and faculty of Rajshahi University, thank you for your warm welcome. To everyone who organized this event, thank you for your hard work. And to the students, thank you for your energy, your questions, and especially you for the hard questions, difficult questions, and for your curiosity. Please keep asking questions. That is how universities remain alive. And that is how societies move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in thanking His Excellency Jean-Marc Cherishale, Ambassador of France to Bangladesh. Thank you all. Have a very good day.
Merci beaucoup, Onik Dhonobad, for your welcome.
Onik
And
Dhonobad.
thank you for the
Onik
questions.
Dhonobad.
Thank you very much.
Before move to Tashfia, may I take 60 to 120 seconds? Okay, thank you. হ্যালো থ্যাংক ইউ। আমি জাস্ট একটা প্রশ্ন করতে চাই শেষ করবার আগে বাংলায়। সেটা হচ্ছে আপনারা সেন্টার ফর গভর্নেন্স স্টাডিজ সিজিএস যারা এই প্রোগ্রামের হোস্ট ইন কোলাবোরেশন উইথ দ্য এফিএস, সিজিএসের নাম আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠানের আগে কতজন জানতেন? রেজ ইউর হ্যান্ডস প্লিজ। I feel proud that I'm part of the CGS. আপনারা বে অফ বেঙ্গল কনভারসেশন BOBC এর নামের সঙ্গে এই কনফারেন্সটির সঙ্গে কতজন পরিচিত নামের সঙ্গে? নট টু মেনি। ওকে। বে অফ বেঙ্গল কনভারসেশন সাউথ এশিয়ার মধ্যে জিওপলিটিক্যাল কনফারেন্স হিসেবে লার্জেস্ট কনফারেন্স এবং খুবই রাইজিং একটা ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কনফারেন্স। আমরা গত 4 বছর ধরে বাংলাদেশে সিজিএস এটা হোস্ট করছি। এবছরও আমরা করছি অক্টোবরের 3 থেকে 5 তারিখ ঢাকায়। প্রতি বছর আমরা প্যান প্যাসিফিক সোনারগাঁ হোটেলে এই ইভেন্টটি আয়োজন করি। এফিএসও আমাদের পার্টনার, প্রথম থেকেই তারা আমাদের সঙ্গে এই প্রোগ্রামটিতে পার্টনার আছে, আরও অনেক পার্টনার আছে আমাদের। এবারকার অনুষ্ঠানটির ইনগুরাল স্পিকার বাংলাদেশের প্রধানমন্ত্রী তারেক রহমান। এর আগে বাংলাদেশের প্রধান বিচারপতি অন্তর্বর্তীকালীন সরকারের প্রধান উপদেষ্টা প্রফেসর মোহাম্মদ ইউনুস, সার্বিয়ার ফর্মার প্রেসিডেন্ট বরিস তাদিস, মালির ফর্মার প্রাইম মিনিস্টার মুসা মারা ওনার ইনঅগ্রাল স্পিকার ছিলেন, মালয়েশিয়ার ফর্মার প্রাইম মিনিস্টার মাহাথির মোহাম্মদ, বলিভিয়ার ফর্মার প্রেসিডেন্ট জর্জ কুইরোগা ওনারা অ্যাপিয়ার করেছেন এই অনুষ্ঠানটিতে। এবছর এই কনফারেন্সটি ঢাকায় হবে 3 থেকে 5 তারিখ। আমরা আশা করছি যে 1000-এর বেশি পার্টিসিপেন্টস, পৃথিবীর 100টিরও বেশি দেশ থেকে 200-র বেশি স্পিকার, 300 ডেলিগেটস অংশ নেবেন। তো আমি আপনাদেরকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাতে চাই এই অনুষ্ঠানে, কিন্তু এটি শুধুমাত্র স্পিকারদের জন্য বাই ইনভাইটেশন, পার্টিসিপেন্টসদের জন্য রেজিস্ট্রেশনের একটা প্রসেস আছে। আপনারা সিজিএসের ওয়েবসাইটে অথবা বে অফ বেঙ্গল কনভারসেশনের ওয়েবসাইটে গিয়ে রেজিস্ট্রেশন করতে পারেন। স্টুডেন্ট শুধুমাত্র যারা পোস্ট গ্রাজুয়েশনের করছেন এবং যারা গ্রাজুয়েশনের ফাইনাল ইয়ার স্টুডেন্ট তারা রেজিস্ট্রেশন করতে পারবেন, বাকিরা প্রসেসের মধ্য থেকে বাদ পড়ে যাবেন, ভবিষ্যতে নিশ্চয়ই সুযোগ পাবেন। আমি এই কারণে বলবো যে আপনাদের সুযোগ হবে 3 দিন পৃথিবীর বহু দেশ থেকে আসা, বহু ক্ষেত্রে সফল মানুষদের সঙ্গে পরিচিত হবার, নেটওয়ার্ক বিল্ড করার, অনেক কিছু জানতে পারবেন, শুনতে পারবেন। আজকের মতো প্রশ্ন করবার সুযোগ থাকবে সারা দিন ব্যাপী এবং কখনো কখনো সন্ধ্যা পেরিয়ে রাত অবধি এই অনুষ্ঠানটি চলবে। সো নিজেরা যদি একটু উৎসাহ থাকে রেজিস্ট্রেশন করতে পারেন। আমরা বিবেচনা করব রাজশাহী ইউনিভার্সিটির ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার্স এবং স্টুডেন্টদেরকে, এবং বলে রাখি যে এক্ষেত্রে হয়তো আমরা আপনাদের অন্য কোনো সুযোগ দিতে পারবো না, বাট কনফারেন্স চলাকালে আপনাদের ফুড এবং অন্যান্য লজিস্টিক্যাল যেগুলো সাপোর্ট সেগুলো আমরা দিতে পারবো, কিন্তু আপনারা নিজেদের অ্যাকোমোডেশন এবং ট্রাভেল সংক্রান্ত যেটুকু লজিস্টিক্যাল সাপোর্ট আছে সেটা নিজেদের ম্যানেজ করতে হবে। তো আমি আপনাদের আমন্ত্রণ জানিয়ে রাখলাম সিজিএস এবং এফএস এর পক্ষ থেকে। অনেক ধন্যবাদ আপনাদেরকে।
I would like to thank both Mr. Jalil Rahman and His Excellency. Now, we're very much near to the end of the program, but before we do, I would like to call the program advisor of Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, Mr. Shadhun Dar, to come to the stage to give his remarks. But before I do, just 2 small messages. One, please, once the program ends, remain seated. Lunch will be served here. Second, the Bay of Bengal conversation registration closes on 15th of August. Please hurry up. But before I give the mic to Shalanda, I would also like to thank His Excellency for gracing us with your presence and enabling a free exchange of opinion and questions between you and the students and our respected faculty members. Thank you very much, Shadanda. Please, would you come to the stage?
Good afternoon. We are very close to end the program. And are you really closing the conversation? What do you think? I think this is the beginning of the conversation, because we had lot of insights, ideas, aspects and perspectives that we have received from His Excellency French Ambassador. And I think all these would be the food for thought for your future conversation and the talking, because we need to talk. That's why this is the event that the subtitle that we have mentioned, Talking Diplomacy for Cooperation. So we need to talk. FES will, and for that FES is going to make video podcasts. Keep watching Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, its websites and Facebook page. Lot of conversations, discussions about geopolitics you will get, and there are also some other opportunities, fellowships that you may also get information from this. So with this, now I am thanking to the contributors, because because without their contributions and support, this huge event cannot be a success. First, from AFES, we are thanking to His Excellency. His Excellency, he accepted our invitation and he traveled quite a distant from Dhaka. So this is Rajshahi. We, at the beginning, while we were planning about that is it possible to take our diplomats out of Dhaka, is it possible to get their acceptance for our invitation? But finally, we are really delighted that whoever the diplomats we approached, all of them accepted our invitation. So in this case, His Excellency, Mr. Jean-Marc Sarre Charlotte, our gratitudes that you have accepted and also enlightened us with your ideas, with your aspects, and also your long experience in diplomacy. I think this will really encourage and engage our faculty members and also the students from the University of Rajshahi. And we are also thankful to this university, our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Abdul Alim, and the focal team members that who really supported us, our partner, CGS and also AFES, to make this thing happen. Inviting faculty members, inviting students, and this is a great response because of their efforts. That's why like this room is almost full. So their engagements and also the participation and also owning the event, that really appreciated by our partner, Center for Governance Studies and also AFES. And we are also thankful to our partner, Center for Governance Studies and its president, Mr. Jilur Rahman. CGS is our long-time partner, and we made this kind of thing before, quite good number of events we really organized, and successfully we organized and also received huge appreciation from different corner of the society. So in this case also they arranged successfully. So thanks to Dilur Bhai and also the team, especially the coordinator from CGS is Ms. Tasfia. She did really great job. Thank you. And at the end, I will also be thankful to the faculty members and the dear students from the University of Rajshahi. Thank you for your right questions, for your very insightful questions, and quite engaging you are. And even like you had quite significant number of questions, still there are many students, they raise their hand, but we fail to actually take your questions because of also the time constraint. But you please keep raising your hands, keep raising your voice, because this will really make difference in our society. With this, I will stop here. Thank you. And now I am requesting our resident director, Dr. Felix Gayades, to hand over a small gift to His Excellency. Like this is a gift from AFES to His Excellency. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of the program. I would again love to thank His Excellency for being here with us, our respected faculty members, students, and the journalists out there. I would request members of CGS and FES to be at the front for a group photo. And His Excellency.